All right, House Cat MMA back with a recap on UFC Fight Night Garcia versus Onama. So first we had Talita Alencar versus Ariane Carnlosi. That was a pretty good fight. Like they fought like they were like both getting with the same dude, and like they're both just finding out about it. But Talita was the full-fledged girlfriend, and then Carnelosi was the glorified side piece, and they were having it out. Both women had bright moments. I actually thought at first that Carnelosi was the stronger female, but no, I was actually all the way. I actually butchered these predictions on the undercard. I did pretty good on the main card, but on the undercard I did pretty bad. Yeah, Toledo was the stronger girl in there. She had some pretty good grappling. Carnelosi had moments on the ground, but that was really all. That was really all Toledo. Toledo didn't really have any problems in that fight. She got it done. She got it done pretty good. She got her with the rear naked choke toward the end of the third round. So that was pretty good. I enjoyed watching that fight. And then next up we had Philip Rowe versus Kosi Quinn. That one was pretty. I thought Philip Rowe was gonna go out there, make it ugly, maybe get the shit knocked out of him a couple of times, but when we got more than midway through the fight, he was probably gonna take over a little bit. But no, Kosi Quinn out wrestled him, and that's actually what surprised me the most. Is well, Rowe can get out wrestled, but the fact that Kosi Quinn did it with ease, that's pretty tight. I was actually pretty impressed. So yeah, Kosi Quinn by unanimous decision. I think one judge had it 30-26. Take a look at my notes here. Da-da-da. Then we had Elise Ardeline versus Montserrat Ruiz. I thought Ruiz was the stronger girl, but Ardeline she proved that she was the stronger gal. She pretty much dominated on the ground. Got some good strikes off from up top. Nothing really crazy happened, but good little decision win for Ardeline. Then Norma Dermott versus Caitlin Vieira. That was so Vera took her down a lot. Pretty good takedowns too. But Dermott had the better hands, and she got some pretty good shit off. It's kind of the story of like Vera would take her down, go for submission attempts, mainly arm triangles, and then Dermott would get up, and then would hit Vera with some pretty good shit. Then Vera would take her down again. And just the damage that Dermott did got her the split decision win. But Vera got enough ground control to where one judge gave her the 29-28. So that was a pretty close one. Then we had Timothy Kwamba versus Chang Ho Lee. I think Kuamba belongs in like the top tier of the unranked. He's a very good fighter though. At that level, like Chang Ho Lee kind of took his back right off the rip. Like it was some kind of fucking, like Kuamba was taking part in some kind of security breach. And Chang Ho Lee just wasn't having it. So he controlled him because like Kuamba was standing up. And Chang Ho Lee had his back. And Chang Ho Lee was working very rear naked for a good few minutes. But after that, Kuamba kind of put on a clinic on him. He was out striking him on the feet. Really good boxing, really good traditional boxing he showed in that fight. And he started taking Chang Ho Lee down. So he got that 29-28 pretty easily. The second and third round for Kuamba was pretty smooth. Like that was some pretty good practice for him. Like that, I bet you it was one of those fights where like some fighters say, like when they're doing really well, it's like they're watching themselves fight. They're not the one who are actually doing it. I think Kuamba had one of those moments. He was just in this crazy flow state. It was pretty good. I like Kuamba. But he got the unanimous decision win, 29-28. Then we had Billy Alakina versus Kevin Christian. I called Alakina to take him out with strikes, which he kind of did. But he gave Kevin Christian a fucking knuckle fucking sandwich. Knocked him on his ass. Pretty tough. And went for the rear naked and got that shit. But yeah, Alakina, I don't know how well he's going to do moving forward. I can't call that. But he does well. He kind of looks like Kid Rock's son. If Kid Rock's son had more dog in him, that's what he looks like. And after that, I got my napkin. It's one thing Eminem taught me. You gotta write shit down on napkins. I own a notebook. It's just I do this shit when I'm at work. Yeah, Alan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Because when I first looked at that fight, I was like, oh, Durden's gonna out wrestle him. But the more and more I thought about it, like I said in the video yesterday, I was like, Durden likes to fuck around with his head down low. Nascimento likes his guillotine chokes and his ninja chokes. He ended up getting Durden with an anaconda choke. But yeah, they both got some good shit off. Nascimento kind of outstruck him on the feet. But yeah, Nascimento got that anaconda choke in the second round. And, you know, Nascimento, he looks like he works HR at an oil rig. He reminds me of a fighter who I can't think of. I was going to say Mike Ritchie from back in the day. And then he put me in the mind of Diego Nunes also. He reminded me of a cross between those guys. A cross between Diego Nunes and Mike Ritchie. Yeah, he looks like he works HR at an oil rig. You know the guy, you know. He works HR at a really hard labor job, and every time one of the employees that do the hard labor at the hard labor job have to walk into HR to pick up their paycheck or whatever, they're like, oh man, it feels so good in here. Then you got Nascimento there. Oh, did you check? When are you gonna get your direct deposit set up? Like, probably never, motherfucker. Then we got Charles Radke versus Daniel Frunze. Charles Radke is actually a guy that I like to grapple with him. Just feel how strong he feels. Like he's just that guy. Like where like grappling with him feels like you're grappling with a statue that can move, kind of thing. Just so solid and just like no give to his muscles. Just like just rock hard. But yeah, Radke kind of slung Frunze around, and got him at the rear naked in the second round. And Radke, he looks like he looks like a women's lacrosse coach. That's what he looks like. He looks like he could tell you something or other about lacrosse, which I don't know, too much about lacrosse. I know they got the things, but other than that, I'm not sure. Yeah, he looks like he coaches women's lacrosse. Then we got Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadir Dival. I was sort of onto something when predicting this fight, but I just expected it to be closer. I called it when I said Dival is just more technically sound on the ground, because the way he took his back and chucked him out was beautiful. But fucking yeah, it was just too much. It was just too much for Bulgarian to handle. I think Bulgarian is gonna do well though. I think he's gonna do real well. I think he's younger than me. I have to look that up. I'm pretty sure he's younger than me. But yeah, good on Duval. I'm gonna pay attention to him. I want to see how well he ends up doing. Then we had Jeremiah Wells versus Themba Garimbo. So Themba Garimbo is kind of like that guy who I think he's got all the skill in the world, but I think he might lack a little bit of heart. Not a whole lot of heart. I think he lacks a little bit of heart. And I think he likes to do stupid shit in fights. Because I just don't see how you go from out wrestling Jeremiah Wells to getting out wrestled by Jeremiah Wells. Because that's what happened. He out wrestled Jeremiah Wells just throughout the first round. And then Jeremiah Wells started kind of touching him up a little bit, and Themba Garimbo touched Jeremiah Wells up a little bit. But Wells just started taking him down, stuffing Themba's takedowns, and getting some stuff in Themba's takedowns, then getting dominant position off of that. But good win for Jeremiah Wells. That's a pretty good win for him. I don't think he'll ever be ranked, but he wins fights. He wins fights at the UFC level. At the top tier level, he wins fights. Then, this is crazy. We got Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ante Delija. So, it was a whole lot of wallering against the cage. Sometimes Waldo having Ante against the cage, sometimes Ante having Waldo against the cage. And then Ante poked the piss out of Waldo Cortez Acosta's eye. And then beat the fucking shit out of him for a good couple of seconds, like Waldo Cortez Acosta fucked him on a car deal or something. Ref called it. Upon further inspection, they found out Waldo got poked in the eye. They're like, all right, we're going to start this back up. Which, I don't know that there's ever been a situation like that before in the UFC. There could have been, and it slips my mind. But I don't think there's ever been a situation like that. And I always felt like if there was a situation like that they would just call it a no contest, baby, instead of restarting it. I was like, oh, that's different. Restarted it, and then Waldo Cortez Acosta knocked Ante DeLija out. And that's got to be a... I don't think anybody's had more, at this point, I don't think anybody's had more of a mental dump than Ante DeLija after winning a fight. Well, after losing / winning. He lost and won on the same night. He lost and won at the same night. Like, how do you go? Like, it must be crazy to get thinking, going from you think you just beat a very tough prospect in Waldo Cortez Acosta to, oh, yeah, you kind of won. And then you start back up, and then you get knocked out. That's crazy. I'm sure Ante will be back. He's not that old, especially for a heavyweight. He'll be back. Probably put him against. Give him to the loser of Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. Give him that. That'd be a good one. And then we got the main event, Steve Garcia versus David Onama. I don't know if Steve Garcia is going to win the belt, but he went in there and put a hat on Onama like he just got yelled at by his football coach for not blocking. Like, he went in there and just started throwing fucking leather. And it was just too much for Onama to handle. So, I want to see Onama fight... Not Onama, but I want to see Garcia fight fucking... John Silva. Yeah, I like to see Garcia versus John Silva. That'd be pretty tight. But yeah, that's the recap. Housecat MMA. See ya.